Good evening. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Round Lake Area School District Board of Education on January 8th, 2024 at 7:01 p.m. If I can get started first with a roll call, please.
Mrs. Klingler?
Present.
Miss Lee?
Here.
Mr. Francisco?
Here.
Mrs. Larson?
Here.
Mr. Jewett?
Here.
Mrs. McGinley?
Here.
Mr. De Vera?
Here.
All right, first up, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first up, we need an approval of a meeting agenda as posted. If I can get a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ms. Lee, seconded by Mrs. Klingler. Roll call, please.
Mr. De Vera?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Klingler?
Yes.
Miss Lee? Yes.
All right, the motion carries. We have an approved agenda, and first up on that is special recognition and presentations. And we have our Round Lake Exchange Club Youth of the Month.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everyone had a great break and great holiday. It's great that we get this opportunity each month to come up here and recognize our students, and there seems to be two common themes always with the students that we recognize. One, just the amazing things that they've accomplished both in the classroom and outside of that as well, whether it's in the community or fine arts or athletics. But there seems to always be a common thing of like challenges that those students have faced and how they've overcame those challenges. And Maritza would be no stranger to overcoming challenges. Maritza had came to America her junior year of high school. And in that short period of time, she went from being enrolled in our just regular education classes to moving to all honors and AP classes in just a short few months. Currently, she's also excelled outside the classroom and has taken an active role in different clubs and our fine arts programs here. She's in the chess club, crochet club, volleyball, National Honor Society, and a Panther Crew leader. She is a member of our Tri-Am Honor Society in Rhapsody, and she's done countless hours of service work while she was in Mexico in local hospitals, and she has a passion now to become a pediatrician. So without further ado, I present to you Maritza Perez Ramirez.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maritza Perez, and I'm a senior in Round Lake High School. Okay. Today I want to talk about the positive impact of diversity and inclusion on teenagers. Diversity and inclusion could cover a variety of areas such as age, gender, race, ethnicity, and disabilities. But today I want to talk about the ethnical and racial part of the subject. I'm sure we all met people who are from a different country or whose parents are from. And our school is a good example of it. In our school, there's Hispanic people, Asian people, African American, and white people. The U.S. is one of the countries with the most racial diversity due to immigration. The U.S. has received over 1 million immigrants a year since the 1990s. This means that there are people from different parts of the world incorporating into our society each day. Diversity and inclusion in our schools helps students learn about not only academical subjects but also about other countries and cultures. As a Hispanic woman, a part of a minority, not necessarily in our school but in the country, I know that the unknown is scary, but how it feels to be different from those around you and the challenges that it could come with. But being at Round Lake Senior High School has been great. Because of the diversity of students and staff members, I've been able to overcome my fears and insecurities of not belonging, because everyone respects your opinions and beliefs, making the school a school with diversity and inclusion. In my experience in Mexico, I was used to being in a private Christian school, where we all were taught how to think and we all thought the same thing. We usually didn't have debates in classrooms, But here at Round Lake, we have friendly debates that help us explain our point of views on subjects that we are concerned about. And we also get to know the points of views of others and why they think that way. This way, we all get to express our opinions in a safe environment. Diversity and inclusion are important values that can help us build a strong and more productive society. As teenagers, we have the opportunity to learn about it and embrace diversity in all its forms. By recognizing and respecting people's differences, we can create a more inclusive and respectful environment for everyone. In conclusion, I urge you to embrace diversity and inclusion in your daily lives, whether it is at school, work, or in your community. Take the time to learn about different cultures, perspectives, and experiences. By doing so, we will be helping to create a more inclusive and welcoming world for all. Thank you.
All right, so I've gotten the opportunity this year to honor our youth of the month. We've also honored our trainees of the month. Ethan has honored multiple athletes of the month as well. And tonight, this is the first time we're doing something like this, and it's a really special event for us. In high school, we talk a lot about college and career readiness and these like real life work experiences. One of the things that I think we've made a huge commitment to at Round Lake High School is the use of the tech campus to provide some of those experiences. And what this gentleman engaged in recently couldn't fit this real life experience any better. So what happened November 1st, is that right? November 1st, this is Nicholas Lunsford. Hi. So he was out with his family, and they were out in Gurnee, and they were witness to an accident. And correct me if I'm wrong here, and I know you'll give more. And it was a minor accident, and the lady in the accident got out to inspect the car, and another car hit the car she was in, and she was severely injured. Nicholas was there, stepped right in, and was able to give medical attention, and when I mean medical attention, life-saving medical attention, applied tourniquets to this individual, and saved their life. If you don't know, Nicholas is one of our Tech Campus students. He's currently enrolled in the EMT program at Tech Campus, and this is why, like, we're talking about real life work experiences. Nick jumped right in and took care of that lady and saved her life. Not only is this sums up what he's learned in his school, but it also sums up the type of individual that he is. That when that situation demanded someone to step up with great courage and great skills, he was there to be a part of that. So without further ado, I want to bring Nick up here, and he's going to give a little bit as well.
All right, so truthfully, there's nothing that compare you for the sights that we saw that day. But thankfully, due to the training I've received at Tech, it definitely helped ease it a little bit. Without the training I received at Tech and all the experience I've gotten from there, from going to my hospital times and ambulance ride-alongs and all that training stuff, I honestly don't think that lady would have been able to have been saved. So I'm so grateful that Tech actually is here. And I notice it not just with me, just with everybody that goes to Tech. Everybody loves it. That's probably one of the best parts of my day in coming to school is being able to go to Tech. The environment is so much fun. Just everybody loves Tech. Like, you ask all my friends, everybody just has a great time. Tech also just brings so many benefits for us, like Skills USA. It's a program they send us down to Peoria, and a whole bunch of different programs compete for prizes and awards and skills and stuff like that. So Tech is just a really beneficial tool, and it definitely helped me in that situation.
Just a quick follow-up on that board. I think we are this year, we're the third largest sender of students to Tech Campus. With all the college and career pathways and the certificates and the licensing with the PACE framework. One of the budget assumptions we're going to bring back is to try to send some additional students. The waiting list is longer than it's ever been, which is really, really positive. It speaks a lot to the experiences that we have. So just grateful that you as a board support that Tech Campus and funding that. I think it's a huge benefit to our students. Percentage wise, as a percentage of our population, we're the number one center. So we send more students as a percentage of the total population than any student in the district or school in the county. So just appreciate the board's support for it.
Thank you. All right, next up are communications to the board, and first up on that is our BPAC update.
Mr. Casas, we're going to see you twice this week, right? You'll be there Thursday night? Perfect.
Good evening, everyone. This is a report from BPAC. We at BPAC continue our mental health and substance abuse program, where we learn about how to support our students' mental health. This month, we are learning about depression and ways parents can support their students. Dr. Fernay Ramirez encouraged us to talk about these difficult issues. We also continue providing free community Zumba once a month. Everyone 18 and older is invited to participate in 1 hour of exercise, music, and community building. BPAC is proud to provide this free opportunity in partnership with Advocate Hospitals. Leaders of BPAC committee are encouraged parents to support their students with FAFSA financial aid applications. FAFSA just opened their application on December 31st, 2023, and we are committed to supporting our Round Lake students to attend college. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. And now next up, we've got the CEDAW Governing Board recap. I believe that's Mr. Jewett.
All right, so this will be an overview, but just to let you know that there's a digital copy with all right? And also wanted to thank Dr. Mendoza. At the CEDAW governing meeting, I ended up being sick, and he had already planned to go, so I got some of the details from that meeting. But there's a lot going on. So first off, the superintendent, Dr. Doonan, had announced her retirement at the end of this year in an email prior to the meeting. So you can imagine part of the meeting was in response to that. And then also, so there was that announcement. There was staff that was there also to make comments about their experience in the environment at CEDAW. One point of note is the gym was packed with CEDAW members. There is definitely an issue with the culture at CEDAW right now. And some of the comments from the staff were lack of trust, a desire to only give the CEDAW administrators a one-year contract, concern about lack of communication from administration. One of the pieces that I'm looking to get follow-up is concerns about various procedures and legal requirements not being followed in terms of compliance of the IEP deadlines not being met, and then concerns about staffing issues. The strategic plan was updated, and then some of the governing board members asked for follow-up information at the next meeting in the following areas: staff safety, safety from intruders, training for staff on de-escalation techniques, and then follow up on the retention and turnover rates compared with other special education co-ops and the process for filling the superintendent position. And these are for follow-up for the next meeting. Then on the 14th, there was an executive meeting, and from the executive meeting, there was a recommended acceptance of the superintendent's retirement letter, and then starting the process of hiring a new superintendent. There was a vote to, that's just 2 pages, actually 3. There is a look for feedback on what the districts would like to see in the superintendent. So looking for skills, qualities, skills, knowledge, and experience. And that the feedback from that, from the other districts, UNERA has a copy of that. And there's also looking at a couple things. One is the executive board has been fielding questions regarding the roles and responsibilities of the CEDAW governing board versus the CEDAW executive board, and what their roles and responsibilities and how eventually could make that a more effective organization or more effective process. And then also looking to anticipating hiring a CEDAW interim superintendent position, potentially needing 2 to go ahead and fill that role. And the next steps from the executive board is to seek the potential candidates, work to present a candidate or candidates for approval at the next governing board meeting in March, and also then planning to develop a plan for the scope of work to be accomplished next year. There's a lot going on. Dr. Mendoza, anything, did I miss anything?
No, you did a great job.
Thank you for that update. Any questions for Mr. Jewett on the CEDAW Governing Board recap? Again, thank you very much for that. Perfect. That will bring us to our recap of our Board of Education 2023 Joint Annual Conference. We have several that put in your updates. I'm not going to go line by line over my update. What I would just say is it's a great chance for us to continue learning, educating, staying abreast of the current wave that is public education. So again, I can't stress how much it is important that we're there and that we're paying attention and seeing it in print. I'll just go around the table. Anybody want to throw out highlights that you saw from the events and bring it to the forefront?
I attended some of the same ones that you did, and I did attach the classes that had handouts. I attached them to my packet. I won't go through all of them, but the one that I really enjoyed was the real world board scenarios, where we just all got into groups and talked about, they gave us scenarios and we worked through them, but we did a lot of, just self-awareness about being on the board and how it affects us and the community, and social media and how to respond or not to respond, which was an interesting conversation because not everybody was on the same page with that. And one group talked about pre-boarding new board members rather than onboarding, which I thought was interesting. Rather than baptism by fire, you've been elected, you're on the board, now you're here and we'll teach you. going through what it's like to be on the board with interested candidates. And a lot of people were like, oh, maybe this isn't for me actually. And that's how they, were able to weed out people who come in with their own agenda. And that was also a big discussion too about new members coming in with their own agenda and how to deal with that. And that a lot of these new board members, once they were able to see how a board runs, they had a better understanding of how you can't have your own agenda, that you speak as a group of 7, not as an individual. And it was really interesting, and again, led me to be very thankful for the board that I am a part of, because there's a lot of contention on some of the other boards. And also I appreciate the opportunity to be able to go to these events.
I got ahead first. I unfortunately forgot to submit my report to you guys. Sorry, it's been kind of a long winter break. But I went to one of the pre-sessions with Scott, which was really interesting on being the leader you were meant to be, both in the school board and out. And some of the things that they focused on was really making you uncomfortable and being comfortable being uncomfortable and having us, oh God, it was horrible. But I was really glad I was there with Scott. We had to videotape ourselves. Like each of us, like he videotaped me and I videotaped him with his. And we had to just talk and see how we talked. And like then just like 30 seconds, I was like, okay, that's not bad. And then we watched them and we got to see the things that we do and we realized how badly we communicate with people. But it makes me think now every time we're talking here, how am I presenting myself? How do I make sure that I'm asking questions and not confusing people and things like that? So it was really painfully good. And then, of course, the other thing I got to do was spend a large amount of time with the voting on the regulations, the resolutions, I should say, the ISBE resolutions, which was fascinating. I got to do it online when the year of COVID. That was my first time doing it in person. The first time I did it was online. But doing it in person was fascinating to see people from every school board and how these people interacted with each other and whatnot. It was fascinating.
And that was also one of the highest turnouts that we've had in 10 plus years.
So yeah, it was fascinating. I learned a lot from that.
I'll just add, I know I told you I didn't have much before, but I'll just add that kudos to the district for having a ever increasing voice at these things. I mean, in years past, I don't think any of us would have imagined that, but I know Heather's done things with the referendum in the past. Dan and Lisa and Liz, I believe, this year in the carousel. It's just awesome. So it's just getting us out there in front of things and representing. So appreciate that.
And so I'll just piggyback off what Mr. DeVera said, because I did include it in my packet, what our district presented in the carousel, because I know not everybody was able to attend the carousel session that our district was presenting at. So I did include those handouts that our district had at their carousel, if you all wanted to look at that. But just echoing what Mr. DeVera said, again, knowing the history, to see where we are today, to have our district be there and have a voice and presenting on the good work that we're doing and other districts want to know and learn from us is great testament to where we are today. So great job to, Ms. Staff and Mr. Kozak and his team on their presentation at the conference. I did want to include also, because I was at the carousel, I attended some other sessions there. I attended this one with Ms. Bennett, the Illinois Virtual Schools and Academy that is through Roe. They have some virtual classes. I know Ms. Bennett had it as a takeaway to see what we can use here in the district, in partnering with Roe and some of those virtual classes that could help either our athletes or some of our AP honors students, some of those classes that we don't offer. So this is definitely something I hope the administration looks into. The other thing I had actually bumped into, and I mean literally because I tripped and fell into an officer. And he happens to be the person who does the Illinois state educational programs. So we started to talk, and I included it in the packet as well. So again, I hope the district looks into this. They offer programs to our elementary, middle, and high school regarding internet safety, DUI awareness, driver's education safety, bullying prevention. I got to see what they offer. School bus safety, there's a ton of programs that they offer. And like I said, the officer I actually bumped into actually does the programs here in Lake County. He lives in Volo. And these are all free, and they do it not only for our schools, teachers, and students, but they offer them to our families. We just have to have the venue for them. So again, I think a great free resource that we could bring in-house that's good, not only for our students and our staff, but our families as well. So I included that in there as well.
Thank you all.
I only reviewed over two of like the highlights that I thought were really impactful. A lot of the stuff that you guys had submitted was sort of the same things that I had seen. But one of the ones I wanted to call out was I went to a session called Advancing Equity Through Mental Health Clinics. And it was Indian Prairie School District has set up this project and it's funded by Edward Elmhurst North Shore, where they have students seen by counselors within the school. And I wanted to call this out. I was like profoundly impacted by this because I know that there's going to be, pros and cons to this, but I did want to call it out and have you guys just look into it because Indian Prairie Schools is like an enormous school district. 34 schools. I think they had something like 25,000 students or something. But it was something that they did, excuse me, in an effort to for their they had a kind of a rash of suicides happen in their school district. So there was some issues that they wanted to address, but I thought the way that they did it was very caring. I thought it was very discreet. There were really some highlights about it that I wanted to point out. I didn't know if they had packets to include, but I did grab the packets, so I wanted to get them to you guys. But I definitely wanted to just highlight that because it was something I thought was a very a program that could definitely, I think, impact our district in a positive way.
Perfect. Thank you very much, all. And as always, as we start going into the national meetings, keep in mind that we'll be doing the recaps as the group that goes to Dallas for COSBA and the group that goes to New Orleans for NSBA. We'll have the same recaps. So looking forward to that. And we will now move on to review of the FOIA report. Any questions from the board in regards to the FOIA requests? Hearing none there, we'll look at the review of the contracts under 1,000. Didn't see any there. Any questions on that? Perfect there, which will now bring us to public comment. As always, members of the public may participate in public comment during regular board meetings by attending in person or by submitting an electronic public comment form. Please note that speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Electronic public comments will be accepted up until noon on the day of the regularly scheduled meeting, and the public commenter will be contacted to confirm identity. Once confirmed, the electronic public comment will be provided to all board members in written form, and the link to the electronic public comment form is online. There was no electronic public comment for this meeting. Do we have any local public comment? Hearing none on the local public comment front, we will now move to the superintendent's report. Dr. Mendoza.
Thank you, Board President, board members. I'm excited to share that EdRed has requested the work of Round Lake Area School District 116 design students to participate in the development of a new logo for the organization. For those of you who may not be aware, EdRed stands for Education, Research, and Development and is one of the largest and most widely respected legislative policy and advocacy groups in the state of Illinois. The organization's main role as a not-for-profit is to provide educator voice and agency in shaping educational policy in Illinois. EdRed recently engaged in a strategic plan process which included revising their mission and core beliefs, and they are interested in rebranding the logo as part of the organization's improvement process. I'd like to thank Jess Crone, Carolyn Corcoran, and the teachers and students who will be part of this process. That's a pretty big deal. I serve on that executive board. Michael attends virtually all of the legislative opportunities. They've been in existence since, I believe, the 1972. They represent almost 90 school districts in Illinois, and they have the ear of the General Assembly. So when I pitched this to Jess and Carolyn Corcoran, I said it was a great opportunity, that literally it could be an opportunity for our kids to shine for decades. So the EdRed logo has not changed since 1972, believe it or not. I think 71 or 72. So there's a process that they'll be using to secure feedback from the EdRed executive board. We know how talented our kids are, and I just think this is awesome for our kids. I mean, Mr. DeVere, you talked about getting out there. I mean, this is going to be all over the place when it's done. So it's really an opportunity for our kids to shine. We look forward to kicking off our first of four or five strategic planning sessions this Thursday, January 11th. The planning group will consist of board members, district and school administration, early leadership, parents, students, and community members. The session will begin with dinner at 5 p.m. So dinner will actually be offered at 5. The work will actually start at 5:30. We know I'm very, very excited about this. It's going to be a little bit different than last time. And then, as consistent with board expectations, we have a list of donations for your review. Enchanted backpack, teacher appreciation gifts, coloring books, handbags, wallets, and gift cards to Beach. In the chapel, $1,400 for the holiday family event at Ellis Elementary School. That concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Mendoza. Any questions on the superintendent's report?
I do, and I don't know if we can actually answer that question here, but I was just thinking about the cycle for an organization that does a logo rebrand. Sometimes that can take longer than a semester. My assumption is the teacher, or whoever is the key point, is the person that's kind of like the project manager.
That's correct. It's Ms. Carolyn Corcoran will be the primary liaison for that, because they'll have to get the input, design, send it out, let us give feedback, reshape it, rebrand, send it out. So they'll be, yes. So yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. Next up, we will move to committee reports, and we had the Community Engagement Committee update for today.
We did. Hello. Happy New Year. So the first thing on the agenda was discussing the partner schools communications subcommittee and the kind of updates on those. We discussed communication timelines and channels. And then we talked a little bit about the release of staff assignments, kind of the feedback on that, developments of question and answers, website, info page, electronic and direct mail communication, social media campaign schedule, and then the pop-up banners. All of these are either have been developed or and are about to be released or have been released. So we're well into it at this point. They have some upcoming, excuse me. I really should bring my mouse. They have some upcoming focus areas. It's going to be development of a schedule for a partner school info booth that they're going to have at events, which I thought was super cool. Release of student school assignments will be done by January 31st. Development of virtual and on-site question and answer session schedules. Ongoing social media campaigns, obviously, and then electronic direct mail, and then backpack flyers going to be sent home as well. So we're kind of hitting it on all avenues to just sort of keep that communication open. We did receive a couple of questions regarding the school assignments after they sent out an email blast, and they're going to be addressing those as well. Some of them regarding childcare, the home daycare, and then logistics of just, how do we get this child to school. So kind of looking into that if it ends up being like a global thing that we might need to develop a solution for, but right now it's still preliminary. The next thing that we discussed was website revamp launch update. Currently, excuse me. Currently they have it mostly up and running, but the content links are still being worked on. January 15th is the date the IT staff will, the IT will be downloading the staff directory, and then once that happens, the webmasters will get access to the site. The pending work file is still happening. The training schedule for the webmasters, the calendar setup, staff intranet page transfers, Google single sign-on, staff directory links, news item population, and then miscellaneous website review and placement. But they're thinking that we'll have the website probably up and running by February. So we're really well into that as well. Yeah, they're doing a really great job of that. And then the final thing that we did talk a little bit after, but we talked about teacher communication tool recommendation was the next one on the agenda. They are going to be, I think, making a recommendation to discontinue use of the Blackboard Final Say teacher communication tool effective June 30th of this year. And then entering into agreement with Remind for teacher communication school. The Remind tool has the capabilities of having a two-way conversation, which is an area that has been a struggle. But they do want to continue using the Class Dojo teacher communication at the elementary level, but Remind would be specifically for secondary schools. And they're wanting to do that July 1st, of this year. So they're thinking it would be financially probably a wash. But there's some confirmation that still has to be done regarding that. So they're well into that. And then we discussed the monthly information snapshots and just some possible need for expectations around communications relating to the athletics events and musical department. But that's still in the works also. Overall, though, a lot of work being done behind the scenes, especially regarding the transition that we're going to be having. So anything you guys want to add? Oh, good. Okay, good. So that was a communication or community engagement committee.
Any additional questions for community engagement? Perfect. Hearing none, we will move to approval of some open meeting minutes.
Need a motion to approve the December 18th, 2023 public hearing 2023 tax levy meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Klingler, seconded by Ms. Lee. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Abstain.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Miss Lee? Yes. Mrs. Klingler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Need a motion to approve the December 18th, 2023 regular board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Lee, seconded by Ms. Larson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Abstain.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Miss Lee? Yes. Mrs. Klingler?
Abstain.
Motion carries.
All right, the consent agenda, I need need a motion to approve the accounts payable report for $1,145,245.75, the January 8th, 2024 employment report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Lee, seconded by Mr. Jewett. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Miss Lee? Yes. Mrs. Klingler?
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, next up, we're to positive occurrences. Well, I'll just jump in. It was a good start to bringing everybody back. The second semester is now underway. First day of school. We didn't get blasted by snow on the first day. It's going to wait for the second day.
Just to add kind of future positive occurrence, this Friday is the cheer competition. That's conference for us, and we are hosting conference this year. So hopefully we can still have that pending weather.
And if we're doing the pre, we'll also throw in there the planning sessions that we're going to start having with the community on Thursday. Looking forward to that as well. Anyone else? All right, and then next up we will move to future agenda items. Anybody have any future agenda items they'd like to have addressed and put on the agenda for the future? Hearing none there, we will now then move to, I need a motion to convene in closed session as permitted by statute 5 ILCS 120/2 for the purpose of discussing the following. Employment matters 5 ILCS 120/2C1 and closed meeting minutes 5 ILCS 120/2C29.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Mrs. Klingler. I can get a roll call, please.
Mr. DeVero?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Miss Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Klingler?
Yes.
And motion carries. That will take us to closed session. We do not have any open session afterwards, so this brings us to the end of the open session for today's meeting. Our next meeting time will be same time, 7 o'clock on the 22nd of January. We look forward to that meeting for you, and everyone have a great evening.